and we're gonna do some really fun Q&A. I'm always looking forward to doing these, and I'm so glad to be here with you guys doing it. So we'll just let a few people drop in here. Hello, everybody. So good to see you. Just getting my cameras a little bit arranged here. Hey, Ryan. Hey, Allie. Hey, Christine. Hey, everybody. Hey, good to see everybody. Oh, so happy to see you guys. All right. So we have people joining on everything. So if you don't see me looking you directly in the eyes at any moment, I will be right back with you. I'm just looking at the other screen. We got Facebook Live, we're doing YouTube Live, and Instagram Live, trying to be with everybody. Okay, first question coming in. Nadia asks, are your products available in Canada? We don't have French labeling yet. So anyone who's ever seen our products knows that we try to pack a lot of information into relatively small packaging, and we really fill it up just with the English. So we haven't really sorted out yet how to fit the French on there. There are two places in Ontario that do carry it anyways. You could check out the Truth Beauty Company, and you could also check out Bloom Beauty. Those are your two best options getting it in Canada. Otherwise, you can order from us and we'll ship to Canada very quickly. Of course, it gets a little bit expensive to get it, to the other side of the border. Unfortunately, I wish international shipping was more affordable, but we do our very best to get discounts from the shipping companies and always pass those on to you guys. We never make a profit on shipping. So many companies, you go to checkout and they're definitely marking that up and adding in $5 or $10 extra for the handling. We do the opposite. In almost all cases, we are paying more for shipping ourselves than we're actually charging you. So we do our best to try to make it possible for you guys to get our chocolate wherever you are. Okay, so I've got a list of questions here that people have sent in. And then also, you guys can send in questions anytime as we go along. So, and I will jump right into yours as soon as I see them pop up. So the first question here is, what's your favorite book for learning about medicinal herbs? Beginners preferred. I have one absolute favorite book above all others, and that is The Ancient Wisdom of the Chinese Tonic Herbs by Ron Teagarden. It is something that you can read no matter what level you're at, whether you're totally new to this or whether you've been doing this for years and have lived this lifestyle for a long time. There will be information in there for you. And even if you're advanced, you can read it over and over again and you'll discover new layers. This book gets into the basics of Chinese philosophy and their way of looking at health and way of looking at the body in terms of the elements, the meridians, the treasures, how different emotions play into aspects of health. And that's just in the first part, getting into basic theory of yin and yang. That's so elemental to really understanding some aspects of the nature of our bodies and health and how these different herbs work. And then into the beautiful theory of the three treasures, which is really my favorite. I've made, YouTube and Instagram TV video about that before. And that framework of the three treasures, I love talking about it so much, and I try to incorporate it into every talk I do when I speak at events, because it gives such a great framework and structure for understanding health. And once you understand that, it gives you a framework for understanding how a lot of these herbs work in the body and how different aspects of your lifestyle, diet, etc., training, all these things fit in, and how in the right amount they're beneficial, and the excess they're maybe not so good. If you don't go enough, they're also not so good. So that is definitely my favorite book that I would recommend. Okay, next question is, you mentioned systemic enzymes. What are those? I know about digestive enzymes. Okay, so you're familiar with digestive enzymes that you take to help you break down food. You get a variety of different enzymes in there, along the lines of protease, which is helping you break down proteins, amylase, which is helping you break down carbohydrates, and lipase, which is helping you break down fats. And now kind of the hot thing to do is create digestive enzyme products that have very high amounts of lipase to help people with their ketogenic diets and help them, digest all these fats, which is cool, because if you're going to take digestive enzymes, you want them to correspond as much as possible to the ratios of what you're eating. So if you're eating a high-fat diet, it makes sense that you'd want to have a lot of lipase in your digestive enzyme. But this question is asking, what about systemic enzymes? So systemic enzymes go through and they are proteolytic. They're eating up scar tissue. They're helping to bring down inflammation. They increase natural T killer cells. They're overall incredible for the body. I've had so many people tell me they started just trying out systemic enzymes based on something they heard me say, and they had like a cyst that they had for a long time and then it was gone, or they had some scar tissue issues, or chronic pain that had improved. So there's great benefits to taking systemic enzymes. A lot of people don't take enough of them in terms of the dose. You want to, it's kind of weird to say this, but you kind of want to take as many as you can afford to take. If you can just afford to take one, okay, take one. But if you can afford to take 5 or 10 capsules and drink it with a lot of water, and then kind of just sit still or lay still for a little while afterwards for 10 or 15 minutes, that's going to be the ultimate in terms of really delivering the potency. So that's systemic enzymes. They're great to incorporate into a long-term health strategy, so you stay free of scar tissue, keep down inflammation, and really stay, in the position to be very active for your entire life. Oops, hang on, I flipped the screen there by accident. That always happens, and I'm trying to wave to people here. Okay, so Ryan's asking, my cousin and I have been finding mushrooms in the forest here in Wisconsin. I don't know what we can do with them, though. We found reishi, maitake, turkey tail, oyster, etc. Any ideas? Wow, that's awesome. That's so cool that you have these in an area that you're living in. I'm jealous. We don't really get that here in Southern California. So that's very cool. What can you do with them? Well, first step would be to dry them out. You can, I imagine you've still got a fair bit of sun going there at this time of year, you can flip them over and put them out in the sun, and that will in some cases help them to produce vitamin D, which is really cool. You can maximize the vitamin D content of those mushrooms. And then there's 2 ways you can go from there. One is the simpler way. You can just make them into a tea. You can, and this is not like you're just going to pour some hot water over them, let it sit for a couple of minutes, and then drink it. This is a serious tea we're talking about here, and the way you're gonna, this is a hot water extract, basically. I maybe shouldn't even call it a tea. I think the way you're going to be doing this is that you're going to take those dried mushrooms, cut them up or grind them up. You want to get them real fine to maximize the surface area, right? And then you are going to put those in water, and you're going to simmer that water for about 3 hours. And this is going to start cracking open the cell walls of these mushrooms. They have cell walls made of chitin, which is an extremely hard substance, one of the hardest substances in all of nature. And so if you were to just try to eat these raw, you wouldn't get a lot of the benefit, or really any at all. So this hot cooking is going to break down that cell wall, and the water it's going to crack it, and the water is going to sneak inside. And some of the goodness, some of these, long chain polysaccharides, these beta glucans are going to start to seep out. And this is starting to get good, and you'll see it, it'll start to change color. And you could just drink it there. That would be cool. Or you could then put it in the freezer overnight, let the whole thing freeze solid. And what that does, what happens when you freeze water? It expands. So you got this cell wall that you couldn't get into before. You've cracked it. The water is seeped in. Now you're going to make that water expand and really break open the cell wall. And then you're getting like a real maximum extraction. Then you take it back out the next morning, simmer it again, let it go for another couple hours, really get the most out of it. And then you can start drinking it. And that's going to be some real powerful stuff. Then if you wanted to go even further, you strain off what's called the marc. That's the basically dried mushroom, shredded, cut up mushroom that you have in there. And you have now a hot water extract. And then you could boil that down and really concentrate it. Or if you want, before you even do the hot water extraction, you could cut up the mushrooms real fine and put them in like a big jar and pour alcohol in there. You want to, get like something like an organic vodka and pour it till the herbs are covered in there. So there's plenty. And then you could leave it sitting there, go at least 2 weeks. 6 weeks is better. You could leave it in for 6 months. In China, sometimes they leave herbs extracting for 50 years to really get out the triterpenes. So we talked about the beta glucans. These are the water soluble compounds that you're going to be getting out of the mushrooms. However, those are not very fat soluble or alcohol soluble. So that's why we get them out in the water. Then you have the triterpenes. These are the adaptogenic compounds that you find in some of these mushrooms. And these are poorly water soluble, but they're very alcohol soluble. You tell them there's going to be alcohol at the party, they'll be there. So these will extract out into the alcohol over a period of time. And then after a while, you will strain off the alcohol, put that aside, and then you have the mushroom, and then you do that cooking process that we just talked about a minute ago. And then once you've strained off the mushrooms out of there, then you boil that liquid extract down. Boil it down, boil it down, boil it down until it gets thick and it's like just about to burn. Then you stop cooking it. Now you have a very concentrated water extract, and then you combine that back with the alcohol, and now you have your own homemade tincture, which is really cool. That's a great experience to have. I remember my first tincture making was a very, very, very strong chaga tincture that I made in Australia back in 2011. It's a great experience to have, and that tincture will last you ideally a long time. And you can kind of make that something that you do every single year. Around this season, you can start collecting these mushrooms and harvesting them and tincturing, and you build up an epic medicine cabinet. How fun would that be? Sava, hi, good to see you. Thanks for joining. Renee, hey, how you doing? Joshua, I see you're sending a request to be in the live video. Are you actually wanting to be on camera? Because I know a lot of people send that through by accident. If you have a question you want to actually ask live, I'm open to that. But just let me know, because I don't want to turn on your camera and maybe you're not prepared for that. Jules asks, how effective is vitamin C topically for acne scars? Any other suggestions? Thank you. Moderately, it's pretty good. Other things that are really good to do are putting on fresh aloe vera. That's one of the most powerful natural healing substances you're going to come across. I'm not talking about aloe vera coming out of a bottle, not talking about aloe vera juice that you'd be getting from Trader Joe's or wherever. This is putting the fresh aloe on there and getting it on real thick and doing it frequently. So that's something. Vitamin C serums, though, they're definitely helpful. And then also red light therapy. You can get one of these red light devices, like from Juve, for example. They've got for $2.95. They've got their handheld battery-powered one that you can just kind of put over your face or do, spot treatments. I don't know if spot treatment is even the right word. Like the light can pretty much cover like that much, almost half of your face. So you could maybe do your whole face in 3 sessions. Do like a right side, a left side, and then a forehead, depending on where you're working on dealing with things. And then there's benefits from tea tree oil and coconut oil. Coconut oil, of course, if you're still very prone to acne, you're not going to want to be using that because it has it's a bit comedogenic in terms of being able to clog up the pores. So that may be counterproductive in a certain sense. I feel like I missed somebody's question a minute ago. Hang on, let me look. Nope, we got them all. Okay. So proceeding on, and these are great questions. I'm so happy and excited to be here doing this with you guys. This is awesome. Jules, you're so welcome. My pleasure. My TCM doctor said I needed to strengthen my spleen to improve assimilating nutrients. Ideas. Yeah, so spleen in the Chinese system or in Taoist tonic herbalism, that's where you're getting your fire from, right? That's where you're getting your digestive power. And it's something that especially, not so many people are doing the raw food diet anymore, but when that was a big thing, a lot of people were eating just raw foods all the time, myself included. A trap that many people would fall into is that you get what the Chinese would call a cold, damp, wet spleen, and you end up with digestive disturbances, and digestion becomes actually quite weak. Herbs can really help with it. Let's look at some of the best spleen qi tonics. And so here we're going to look at Gynostema, astragalus, ginseng, and Siberian ginseng. And then especially, these are like the 2 superpowers in this category, are Poria and white atractylodes. So those are wonderful to incorporate into a long-term, digestive regimen, especially if you struggle with spleen performance. The next question is, do you use bulletproof caprylic acid, or is there a capsule form by chance? I've gone through many bottles of caprylic acid from Bulletproof. They call it brain octane oil, if you're wondering what it is I'm talking about. Hi, Donna Joy. Good to see you. So glad you're joining us. And hello to everybody joining. Hi, Hannah. Hi, Mandel. Good to see you guys all here. So with the brain octane or caprylic acid, you can get it from Bulletproof. There are companies that make it in capsules, but more often than not, they're adding some other not spectacular ingredients in when you see caprylic acid in capsules. And also, like, you want to take a good amount of caprylic acid, like at least one, if not 2 or 3 tablespoons in a day. I mean, one's great. Like, it's a little bit expensive, so if you can just do one, don't feel like you're not doing enough. 1 tablespoon of caprylic acid a day is great. If you're doing that in capsules, you're gonna have to get a lot of capsules to get that much caprylic acid. So it's gonna get expensive, number one, and they tend to add in some ingredients that you may not be thrilled with. Now, there's other brands you can get it from if you are a member of Thrive Market. They've got their own brand one now, which is really great, and it's quite a bit more affordable. And if you're wanting to sign up for Thrive Market, it's something Ana Blanca and I, we shop there. We love it. It's basically everything that you would buy except for fresh produce in a health food store. And also, they don't carry our products, so you can't get that there either. But everything else at usually 25 to 50% off. And so you can go on my personal website, the one that I use for consulting services, sagedammers.com. You can go on there and click on resources, and there's a link that will save you an extra 25% on your first order if you're ordering through them. That's one option. And then also you can go to addictivewellness.com/FP, which stands for favorite products. And that will take you to our Amazon page where we kind of have curated our favorite products that we love to share with you guys. And there you'll see a caprylic acid from a company called Nuton, Nuton, and theirs is really nice. And these 3 companies, Bulletproof, Nuton, and Thrive, what's unique about their caprylic acid compared to some other companies, a lot of other companies source it from a combination of coconut and palm oil. Palm oil is really not the greatest place to be getting things from, just from an environmental and animal welfare perspective. So it's nice to be getting it from one of these 3 companies who source it exclusively from coconuts. Hang on, we got something from Ryan here. He says, I gave my groomsmen recharge chocolates as part of my proposal gift. So far, everyone really enjoyed them. And they aren't really health-centered, so it was cool that they were able to enjoy them. It makes me so happy to hear that. Starting Addictive Wellness and even going way further back into my health journey and starting to develop recipes and things like that and working in a tonic bar setting and setting tonic bars up at 5-star hotels in Paris and in Sydney. That was exactly what I wanted right there. I wanted to be able to make things that were so good, so delicious, such a magnificent sensory experience that you could win over anybody and kind of trick them into being healthy, or at least take down their resistance because it was so delicious. And then plus they would feel good. So to hear that that's actually happening for you and for your groomsmen, that's so cool. And congratulations on your engagement. And I'm not sure if you're already gotten married or not yet, but if you have, super congratulations. That's awesome. Renee says Thrive is the best. Yeah, so nice. I mean, I think we save thousands of dollars a year. I think I can't remember. They show you anyways. It's either some big number in the hundreds or well over 1,000. It's so nice to be able to shop on there. August is the wedding. Okay, that's fantastic. Cool. So next summer. And so congratulations on your engagement then. Okay, so many people dropping in here. So good to see everybody. See, I love doing the regular Q&As and the Instagram stories that we do every day, but this live interaction, it's like 10 times more fun for me in terms of I just get into a flow state. It's the dynamic nature of it, connecting with you guys just makes it even better. Okay, next question. Is tremella mushroom enough to take for vitamin D? No, probably not. Of course, everyone's vitamin D needs are going to be a little bit different. You're living in an equatorial region, you get a good amount of sun time, and you don't even really need vitamin D supplementally, so tremella would be enough. However, tremella only contains vitamin D2. That's an important distinction to make. It's not nearly as effective as vitamin D3. In fact, D3 is about 4 times as effective in the body compared to vitamin D2. So while it's very cool that a mushroom like tremella has pretty impressive vitamin D content, I wouldn't rely on it exclusively, especially looking at the incredible range of health benefits and longevity benefits and disease prevention benefits that you stand to gain from really getting your vitamin D levels in a good place. And of course, just a reminder, when you're taking vitamin D, it's always very good to take it with K2 to make sure that it doesn't have any negative side effects when you're taking it supplementally. And then, of course, if you can get it from the sun, awesome. If you're out in the sun this time of year, you can count a vitamin D naturally, spending really not that much time in the sun. A few months from now, in most of North America, the sun is going to be too low in the sky, even at kind of the peak of the day, to really be able to make vitamin D. So get it now while you can. Get out there and get in some sunlight, and take astaxanthin so you don't get sunburned. Okay, next question. This is kind of skin related as well. Thoughts on pearl powder? Pearl powder we used to have in our beauty chocolate when we first started the company. I'm curious. Was anybody who's watching right now? Were you kind of around and had you tried our chocolates back in the days when beauty chocolate had pearl powder in it? I wonder. Beauty chocolate has gone through several evolutions. First, it was pearl powder that we had in there. Then we removed that because of the vegans. And we love you vegans, but some vegans were not happy with pearl powder. Now, just to be clear, it's a pearl grows inside of a shellfish. The shellfish is not killed. The pearl is just extracted, and then they grow another one in there. But some vegans weren't comfortable with that, and we respect where everybody's coming from. And so we wanted to have a chocolate that would be accessible in the beauty department to everybody. Vegans want to be beautiful too, right? So we took it out, but I still love it. We still have, over on the cabinet in the kitchen where we have all of our different herbs, got a big old container of pearl powder there that I use quite often. Pearl, it does a number of things. Going from the three treasures side of thing, it's a Shen tonic. So it calms and stabilizes the heart. It's a really nice one to have in the evening as part of a nighttime kind of sleepy tonic. And then it's also a great beautifying herb, great for supporting collagen, great for elasticity of the skin and maintaining youthfulness. It's one of the top legendary beauty herbs in the Chinese system that's been used for that purpose for thousands of years. So pearl powder is a great one, and it's a source of healthy calcium. I was talking about, I can't remember if it was yesterday or the day before on the Instagram story, so I'm not a fan of calcium supplementation, but pearl is a safe way to incorporate some calcium. Of course, you should get some from the rest of your diet too, but pearl is a nice addition, very mineral rich. Someone's asking, any suggestions for restless leg? I tried magnesium and I think I made it worse. That would be surprising to me if that actually made it worse. For most people, magnesium is very helpful. You can do other things to bring down the stress. For example, you could supplement with reishi, ashwagandha. But yeah, magnesium is really my top recommendation. I would be surprised if that was actually something that made it worse. Speaking of reishi, next question is, how can I incorporate reishi into my life? What brands and how much daily? Well, I happen to be the CEO and co-founder of Addictive Wellness, and so I'm going to recommend the Addictive Wellness reishi, not just because we make it, but because I think it's genuinely right up there as the best reishi on the market. It's a very high quality, very potent dual extract of a hardwood grown reishi. Important, you want your mushrooms grown on hardwood, because otherwise you run the risk of them being primarily grain powder rather than mushroom powder, and you also run the risk of not having the triterpenes, these adaptogenic compounds, be developed. If you're just growing reishi on grain, it's not going to have the same stress relieving benefits and adaptogenic modulating benefits that you really would want to get with reishi, right? It's one of the main areas of benefit, so you might as well go for that. How much daily? It's going to vary person to person. That's not something I can make one broad recommendation to everybody all at once. But for most people, it'll be in the range of starting out light with like an eighth of a teaspoon, and then you can work your way up to, quarter teaspoon. Then you do a quarter teaspoon twice a day. It's nice to have these herbs twice a day so they stay in your system. Reishi, some people think of as a sleep herb, but it's not really. It just helps you be less stressed and adapt to external stressors more easily. So you can take it in the morning and you'll be less stressed throughout the day. And then you take it in the evening and it will also help you, sleep, not as a sedative, but as a stress reliever. And of course, it's great immunologically as well. It's one of the greatest immune enhancing herbs. It's not an immune stimulant, but rather enhancing natural immune intelligence. And eventually you could get up to somewhere between a half a teaspoon and a teaspoon a day, but it's going to vary from person to person depending on sensitivity, digestive health, body size. I mean, there's many factors. What genetic testing, in your opinion, is worth the money? Do I need a doctor's order? So, no, you don't, which is cool. It's always fun to be able to do stuff on your own and consult with the doctor when you want to, but not just need a doctor to get the test done. I would go with the 23andMe testing. Now, there's a specific way you have to do it. Otherwise, you're going to overpay and you're going to be disappointed. So here's how you do it. Don't pay for the health profile. I can't tell you how many people have said, I went and got the 23andMe testing done and I was disappointed. It was totally not informative or helpful. And I asked them, well, which one did you do? Did you do just the ancestry profile, or did you pay twice as much and do the health profile? And they say, oh, I did the health profile. It seemed the natural thing. No, that's not how you want to do it. Here's how you want to do it. Do the ancestry profile. And they won't tell you anything about their health, which is fine because they're very controlled by the FDA as far as what health information they can share, and what they share is not helpful. You do the ancestry, it costs half as much as doing the health, so you're saving money. And then you go in and you go to do what's called downloading the raw data. And it's going to download a big text file. And it's going to look like gibberish, but it actually makes sense to people who know how to analyze genes. And then you can go to one of two sites. One of my favorites is Found My Fitness. It's a website created by Dr. Rhonda Patrick, who's super cool. And you can upload it to there. You pay $10 rather than the $100 that you would pay to go to get the health package from 23andMe and not get much insight. Here you pay them $10 and they do a pretty substantial analysis and send that back to your email. And it's fantastic. For most people, that's all you need to do. And you're going to get some great insights from that on a lot of different genetic variables and understanding what maybe works for you, why some things don't work for you, what supplements are the most important for you, dietarily, what's going to suit you best genetically, so many different things, sensitivities to different medications that you need to be aware of, a whole lot. Then, if you want to go really deeper, and for this you may want to work with a health professional who has a lot of expertise in analyzing DNA testing, because this one is really extensive and scientific, you can go to Promethease, and it's promethease.com, and it's an ASE, like Prometheus, but Promethease. And there you do the same thing, you upload your raw data, and they give you a very, 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 very extensive in-depth analysis. I think that one costs $12. And that's also very good. But I think if you're not working with a health professional on it, that site will, you can try it, it's just $12. But that site is probably going to give you more info than you're prepared to deal with. But you can always check it out and see what you think. And there's so many insights. I mean, we have a whole video for people who want to hear a little bit more about this. Ana Blanca and I made a whole video. It's on our YouTube channel. You could probably just go on YouTube and search addictive wellness genetic testing, and that will pull up for you a video we made about all the really impactful stuff that Ana Blanca and I learned about our health through our genetic testing, and what modifications we made to lifestyle, to diet, to supplementation as a result of those, and how we're doing so much better from it. the next question is, and by the way, you guys, you're getting quiet over there. I know this is, maybe these answers are really interesting, so I'm being optimistic, thinking I got you captivated. But keep sending in questions. I love hearing what you guys are thinking about. So the next question is 3 months taking care of my gut, but I have low energy. Supplement ideas. Okay, so it's great that you're working on your gut. Gut repair will often take more than 3 months. It's a bit of a process, depending on what's going on with you. I don't know if you're dealing with candida or leaky gut or SIBO or just some overall bacterial dysbiosis, but it takes time. But it's great that you're on the path. Now, the question being, you have low energy. Okay, a number of ways we can go about this. One, try to get sleep. Get as best quality sleep as you can. And that is, there's a whole strategy of how to do that. Someone says, I'm listening and learning. So cool. I'm really glad to be able to provide some info that's new for you. That's great. I'm glad you're enjoying it. So sleep, we'll do a quick run through of sleep strategy, okay? So, and there's a whole talk that I have on YouTube and IGTV that goes more in depth on this. So, but I'm going to kind of try to breeze through it and hit some of the really impactful stuff. So, you start at the beginning of the day. You want to get some light, get some natural sunlight within the first couple hours of the day. That doesn't mean just looking out your window. It means go outside, get in the sun, go do a little bit of cardio is really good to do in the beginning of the day. Then going into the afternoon between like 3 and 5 p.m., a good time to do more intense exercise like weight training. And of course, an overall diet that is cultivating balanced blood sugar. That's going to be helpful because a lot of people wake up in the middle of the night because they've had a blood sugar drop. So if you can work on your blood sugar health, that's going to help with sleep as well. Then going into the evening, eat early. Don't eat too late. Then you're kind of trying to digest as you're going through the night. And start avoiding blue lights. Don't be rewatching this video with the blue background at night. Or if you do want to, here's how you do it. You do a Google search for how to block blue light on the iPhone, and that will pull up a video made by yours truly on how you can easily create a shortcut on your iPhone that will turn the whole thing red and black at night. So you can still do stuff. You can watch YouTube videos. This works for an iPad as well. You can watch YouTube videos. You can be texting on Facebook, on Instagram, and you can do it at night, but it's all red, so it doesn't disrupt your circadian rhythm. Blue light at night suppresses melatonin production for hours afterwards, so it's really interfering with your ability to get quality sleep. And then you can incorporate herbs and supplements that are going to be great for sleep. Magnesium is a really good one, of course, especially magnesium L-threonate, which has the powerful ability to cross the blood-brain barrier, something you don't get with other magnesium supplements. And then reishi, ashwagandha, holy basil, pearl powder, albizia. These are some of my favorite herbs going into that category. CBD is another great one. Now, a lot of people rely on wine or THC. Those suppress REM sleep, which is a very important part of your sleep cycle, and they also lead to more awakenings during the night. So those are not actually a really good sleep strategy, but CBD does not cause those problems. So that's really good. Rico World says, any tips for pregnancy in terms of food? Yes, I just realized I'm still in the middle of this energy question. Hang on, let me come back to that one in one moment. So energy-wise, getting that sleep quality is a big deal, and create an EMF-free zone in your bedroom. Don't have your phone on next to your bed. Kind of leave yourself a couple hours to wind down at night. Do non-stressful, relaxing activities. Meditation, of course, is helpful, and you could, go on YouTube and find a yoga nidra guided sleep meditation video that you like. That's a really nice way to ease yourself into sleep. And then sleep in a cold environment. Taking a hot shower before you go to sleep actually helps your body temperature drop faster. You need a core body temperature drop to actually be able to get into sleep. So that's why sleep is harder. It's always easier to sleep in the winter when it's cold than in the summer when you're miserably hot, right? And that's a part of it. So there's that, getting quality sleep. Then, of course, make sure you're not having a lot of sugar in your diet. If you're on these sugar ups and downs, you're not going to be having sustainable energy. Don't rely on sugar. Don't rely on stimulants for energy source, even though it's tempting when you're struggling to lean on those crutches. Incorporate herbs like astragalus, like cordyceps, like euphomia. Siberian ginseng is a great one. And then supplement wise, if you had your genetic test done and you have the MTHFR gene mutation, it's really going to behoove you to avoid folic acid and folate and take 5-methyl tetrahydrofolate. That will make a huge change in your energy levels. Make sure your iron levels are adequate. Make sure your B12 levels are adequate. You can supplement with CoQ10. You can supplement with a more advanced form of ethanol. You could go the more advanced form of that, which is PQQ. Those are all great for your mitochondria, the energy powerhouses, the power plants of your cells that are making ATP. You can also supplement with nicotinamide riboside, which is an absolute miracle when it comes to mitochondrial function. So that's a really good option. Having caprylic acid, which we were talking about back in the beginning, incorporating that is really good because that helps you that is very easily converted into ketones in the body, which is an alternative fuel source for your cells to glucose. So, and you can actually, when you're burning ketones, you can actually make a lot more ATP. So that's going to be more energy happening right there. And of course, a clean and anti-inflammatory diet is going to be supportive. Detoxifying heavy metals that will be impairing your gut health on their own, and also these metals will be impairing mitochondrial function. That long term is going to be very beneficial too. Okay, so let me go back to that question that popped up just a minute ago. Okay, so Rico World says, any tips for the pregnancy in terms of food? So most of these herbs and supplements that we talk about have not been long-term safety tested for pregnancy and breastfeeding, so they're not advisable. It's not a risk you want to take during such a sensitive time, right? So cleanliness of the diet is first and foremost, right? Avoid processed foods, avoid, too much sugar. And by that, I mean, avoid all added sugar. If you're having fruit, fine, just don't go overboard. And then have plenty of healthy fats. And this one is real important. Long chain omega-3s in the form of very clean fish oil, krill oil, or algae oil. If you're looking at fish oil, check out Carlson Labs. If you're going for krill oil, Sports Research is a really good option. And one other one, I forgot the name of the other one, but Sports Research is a really nice one. And then if you're looking for algae oil, check out our friends at Schizandu. That's Schizandu. They do a wonderful algae oil product. And that is very important for nervous system development. And that's really, everybody's got to make sure they get their long chain omega-3s, from mitochondrial function to brain health to nervous system health to blood sugar health and making healthy babies. So important. Then, now I don't know where you are on the vegan carnivore spectrum. So if you're on the vegan side, don't get angry at me for suggesting this. But one of the greatest things to have during pregnancy is also organ meats. This is one of the things consumed by pretty much all traditional cultures that you see, and is very supportive of healthy pregnancy. And so this, you can get it from the butcher, grass-fed, and cook it up yourself, or a lot of people are, find it a lot easier to do it in capsules, that dried and powdered and encapsulated. So a nice company to check out for that would be Dr. Ron's. They do it from New Zealand, which is good because you don't want to be supporting, animal agriculture where they're burning down the Amazon, right? So going to New Zealand is a good way to make sure you're staying on the right side of things there. Question is, what is the best source of magnesium? I'm going to recommend two sources. One is magnesium glycinate, very bioavailable, and it doesn't irritate the gut. Irritate the gut may be the wrong term. It doesn't stimulate the gut and give you diarrhea, is what I mean to say, as many other forms of magnesium do. So that one's nice. And then also magnesium L-threonate, which we mentioned a few minutes ago, able to cross the blood-brain barrier, increase brain levels of magnesium, great for relaxation and long-term cognitive protection and anti-aging for the brain. So that's another one of my favorites. And then you can also do magnesium topically. You can get magnesium chloride bath salts. So magnesium really absorbs well transdermally. You can get magnesium sprays that you put on over your body. Very effective, but not very comfortable. It kind of is weird and itchy. But the baths are really nice to do, maybe one magnesium bath a week. So that's that one. And magnesium is so important for so many things, from mitochondria to minimizing stress, to sleep and recovery and supporting detoxification. Very, very powerful in so many areas, and even protecting against EMF, because EMF is opening up the voltage-gated calcium channels to our cells and flooding all this calcium in that doesn't belong there. Magnesium helps to offset those effects. Mandel says, learning so much, great info and tips on sleep. Awesome. I'm really glad you liked those. If you liked that, please go on YouTube and check out a talk we have on there that I did about sleep. It gets into some interesting components of sleep science, and I try to break it down in a really easy to understand way that I think you'll really enjoy. And there's a whole bunch more tips and strategies in there. Millie asks, macular degeneration. Astaxanthin, 2 milligrams, which is a low dose of astaxanthin, has been shown to stop macular degeneration. And so that's a great supplement to be on. I take it all the time because I'm a surfer. I spend a lot of time out in the sun, and I love that it helps protect from sun damage, but also for the health of your eyes long term, and macular degeneration, as you mentioned. It's the best. It's absolutely the best. It's such a godsend. Okay, where were we here? Do people ever call you Willy Wonka or the Candyman? Ana Blanca and I sometimes call ourselves the Wonkas, and she sometimes will call herself Mrs. Wonka. I've never been called the Candyman. I don't know if anybody has ever called me Willy Wonka specifically, directly, but we do take a lot of inspiration from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and those guys. We don't get any children sucked up into our pipes as they do with what's that guy's name? Augustus Gloop, I think was his name. And nobody goes around just eating stuff around our factory. So we're more into like sanitary and hygienic practices than them, but we love the joy that they bring and the soulful inspiration they bring to the chocolate world. Okay, Herbal Arsenal says, your recommendations for fighting a chronic sinus infection. First of all, immune supporting herbs. Second of all, neti pot. Third of all, nasal sprays that incorporate either colloidal silver or Restore for Life. Also very helpful to get up there. They've changed. They're now Ion Biome. I got to start changing the way I call them. They've just rebranded to Ion Biome. They've got a nasal spray, really nice. So there's that, and you can even use and this is uncomfortable but quite effective. Use Spring Dragon tea, the Gynostema tea from Dragon Herbs, to do a neti pot. Very effective, but it's like I said, it's going to be uncomfortable, but it's worth it. Because with neti pots, unless you get just the right ratio of just like water and salt, it kind of sends off some alarm bells in there, but it's really good. Okay, next person says, thank you, love all this advice. I have grass-fed lamb's liver to eat tomorrow, as health is the only priority to function. Yeah, liver, I mean, I grew up as a vegetarian, spent many years as a vegan, so I understand all the sides of and arguments for everything on all ends of the spectrum. Liver is definitely the most nutrient-dense thing you can get, and I'm glad to hear you're feeling better and better. Okay, so Mr. Wonka. What should my dad take for stress-related high blood pressure? Well, it's great that you've identified kind of the root cause here. It's stress, right? So what are the best things for stress? CBD, and I've gone through phases with CBD, and right now I've loved it, and I've just like backed off it for quite some time, and now I'm fully hitting it again. I'm a big fan of CBD. Of course, you got to go for the quality here. Check out the one from Quicksilver Scientific. Very clean, very high quality, great in terms of the bioavailability. Reishi mushroom, another absolute favorite for bringing down stress and anxiety. It's one I've had so many beautiful experiences with, and its ability to modulate my own stress response and it's a spiritual herb. Reishi, they call it the herb of immortality and spiritual potency. It's a heart opener like no other, and I truly mean that. And I hope that everyone at some point has a chance to try a reishi mushroom like ours, and experience the effects that has when you take it on an empty stomach, in a good dose, in just a little bit of water, and just kind of take 5 minutes and sit still and feel the shift. It's beautiful. And ashwagandha, another great one for stress. Holy basil. If he's the guy that's hard to convince to do this kind of stuff, sometimes with dads, like it's hard to get them doing new stuff. So holy basil, maybe don't pitch him on that it's going to help with stress. Pitch him on that it's going to help testosterone levels. Get him in with that, hook him with that, and then it'll just so happen to help his blood pressure and his stress. Now with all these things, anytime that I don't know if he's on blood pressure medication already. If somebody's on medication for something, and they also start taking some sort of natural remedy for that thing, like taking an herb, you gotta be very careful and do it under the close watch of a medical professional, because if your blood pressure is too high and you're controlling it with medications, and then you also take herbs to lower it, well, now you could end up in a potentially dangerous situation where blood pressure is too low. And we don't want anybody, fainting or passing out or getting into any other kinds of trouble. So just do these things with the proper guidance, so that you stay safe. Falling over, hitting your head, and then having a concussion and traumatic brain injury, that's potentially even worse than having high blood pressure, right? So be safe out there. Be safe. Be safe about how you reduce your stress. What are your thoughts toward cold therapy? It's funny. This one, like I used to talk about a lot, and then I started thinking, geez, maybe I'm getting too repetitive about this, and so I haven't been talking about cold therapy and cold thermogenesis and the Wim Hof method for a little while. But I love it. It's been almost, I think next month will be 4 years since I first started practicing the Wim Hof method. And a lot of people don't do the whole method, and they just try to get into taking cold showers or doing ice baths. And it's so much harder. It's so much harder to get into it, to actually do it well and not suffer and be miserable, and to stick with it. The effects that the breathing practice has on your oxygen levels, on your mitochondria, on your nervous system, does so much to prepare you and prepare your body and train your body to then flex that nervous system muscle and adapt when you're in the cold water. So I highly recommend doing the program as a whole. It's a great course you can sign up for online. It really guides you through it. It's incredible. It's transformative. You learn to control your nervous system and your response to things in a much more powerful way. And it really trains your whole stress response. If you can train your nervous system so you can go into the extreme stress of cold water and not freak out, that effect transfers over into many other things, into many other forms of stress throughout life. So that's just some of the benefits. And of course you're burning fat, strengthening the nervous system, as I mentioned, doing wonders for your vagus nerve. There's so many benefits to getting into the cold. So I'm a huge supporter there. And if you want to hear more about my experience with the Wim Hof method, that's another one. We have a video about that I made on our YouTube channel. So you could just Google Addictive Wellness Wim Hof method, or search that on YouTube, and I'm sure that'll come up for you. I think you'll enjoy it. Somebody's asking, will that help shortness of breath? As under pressure, I feel shortness of breath since early age 38. So if shortness of breath is coming when you're under some stress, I would definitely give the Wim Hof method a shot. This really ties together breathing and stress and challenges to the nervous system. So I think you'll likely find that it will help you stay calmer under stressful situations. It's going to help your natural oxygenation of the blood and your oxygen utilization, so your body doesn't start thinking it always needs more and more. And then also things like magnesium, reishi, ashwagandha, some of these great things that not only enhance your performance but also are going to help with that stress response. But yeah, Wim Hof method I think would be a great thing to try to incorporate. And then also herbs like rhodiola and cordyceps that improve your oxygenation or blood oxygenation and oxygen utilization. So of the oxygen you're breathing in, more is actually making it to your blood and your muscles and your brain. That's a great thing to have as well. Bora the Explorer. By the way, I love your screen name. Every time you send in a question and that pops up, it always makes me smile. It says, when you say limit intake of sugar, does this include fruit? So I think if we're talking about sugar as being like white sugar, brown sugar, agave, coconut palm sugar, this kind of stuff, I say eliminate all of that. Date sugar, this kind of stuff. Fruit depends where you are on your health journey. If you've sorted out your bacterial dysbiosis, if you've sorted out things like candida, then you can have some fruit. I say don't go overboard with it. If you're trying to do keto and lose weight, or keto for a variety of different applications, and you're trying to deal with candida, any of these kinds of things, you're going to want to cut out fruit completely. Sugar, as natural it may be, is still going to be problematic. It's going to kick you out of ketosis. It's going to feed the candida. So you want to sort out those things first. Then when you're getting back on fruit, go in moderation. A lot of people think this fruit is like, oh, it's the most natural thing ever. Well, it's not as abundant in the wild as it is in the grocery store, or as it may be in your kitchen. When you go for a hike, tell me how many fruit trees you come across. In most parts of the world, there's not actually that much fruit growing. That, combined with the fact that fruit has been bred over time, hybridized, to make it as sweet and sugary as possible, because a kick out of that. But that's not necessarily what it would have been in a more wild setting when we would happen upon it in nature. So a bit of fruit here and there, if you've sorted out certain aspects of your health and have dealt with sugar sensitive conditions, cool, that's no problem. I've got no problem with that. Especially good if you do it later in the day, in terms of overall metabolism and cortisol and things like that. But don't go overboard. Because going overboard, I think, as we've discussed in so many different ways, going overboard in anything is not going to be a good idea. Upper chest tightness, throat, could it be fungus? I would say unlikely, but you'd want to have if this is just upper chest tightness from like stress, I think you have a stress response you got to deal with here, and also neurofeedback can be incredibly helpful in this area. That's not to say maybe you do have a fungal lung condition, but I don't think it's directly tied in here so much. Neurofeedback for retraining the brain to have not the same really intense stress response, and retraining the brain so that you don't fall into these same patterns, and dealing with old traumas. Very, very impactful. Here's a function that I didn't know about before. Okay, hang on. Just learning my way through Instagram here. You're saying, when I feel social anxiety, I can't tolerate it. So I would say, check out some of these herbs that we've been talking about. All this stuff for stress. Plus, see if you can find somewhere in your area to do neurofeedback. If you're looking for a place to do neurofeedback, you can go to eeginfo.com, I believe the website is, and you can find a practitioner near you. Hi, Dr. Kara. How you doing? So good to see you. So glad you dropped in here. Now, guys, we have just a couple more minutes. We're going on 54 minutes here, and Instagram Live kicks us off after 1 hour. YouTube and Facebook let me keep going, but Instagram cuts me off. But we've got just a couple more questions. Next one will be quick. Audiobook recommendations. So I made a little list here of some of my all-time favorites. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Words Can Change Your Brain by Mark Robert Waldman. Very powerful one on conscious communication. The Wandering Taoist is a very cool novel about a young man who becomes a monk. Stephen Mitchell's translation of the Tao Te Ching. The Wisdom of Joseph Campbell is a great one. It's a series of interviews with him. His books tend to be very dense and written in a way that can sometimes be hard to keep up with in terms of the lexicon, but the interviews with him I find to be so much more magical, and they really capture him as a being. There's Neil Gaiman's Norse Mythology. Loved that one. The Thank You Economy is a great one for anybody who's in the business or entrepreneurial world. How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan. Great one on the emerging science around psychedelics. Fascinating. And 12 Rules for Life is a really good one. Seriously beneficial to incorporate some of those strategies. And The Meaning of Life is another. It's a series from the Great Courses, and so it looks at the meaning of life from Taoism, from Buddhism, from Christianity, from Judaism. It's really interesting. What brand of sunscreen do you recommend? And by the way, we got this question and then one more. So if you guys got any last questions you want to throw in there, now's the time. What brand of sunscreen do you recommend? My absolute favorite, and this is the one I primarily used on my recent trip to Mexico, which some of you may have seen the vlog of on YouTube. Raw Elements. It was my first time using it. Was very, very impressed with the performance. It's all zinc-based, super clean ingredients and non-nano zinc. Companies, even though they say it's non-nano, you do a little bit more research on them and you find out it is. I don't like that. So this company is really, really good. Raw Elements, and they've got like tinted, which a lot of people like to use, or they've got the white. I was using them both, experimenting with different approaches, and loved them both. Really, really nice. Last question. This is a big one. Regular versus infrared saunas. What's the difference? Okay, so I have been around the infrared sauna world since I was a teenager. My parents are in the business with Clearlight Saunas. If you're watching on Instagram, go over to at Clearlight Saunas and go follow them and comment on one of their pictures and tell them I sent you. That's my parents over there. That's if you get somebody commenting or messaging you back, that'll be my mom. So in a regular sauna, you have the hot rocks, which then heat the air, which then heat an inefficient way of heating the body. Sure, it works, and it's been done that way going back hundreds and thousands of years. But this is a cooler way with the infrared, because you have the heating panels, which in a great sauna like a Clearlight sauna, there are two kinds of panels. You have the carbon ceramic panels that are giving off far infrared heat, and then you also have these full spectrum heaters that are giving off near, mid, and far infrared heat, so you get the full spectrum. And these don't heat the air very much, so it doesn't get so horribly hot in the sauna, but they heat your body very directly, because that's what actually makes the difference, is change in core body temperature. So that is really the thing there, and it's really increasing circulation. Very relaxing. Being in a traditional sauna can be a bit stressful because it's so miserably hot in there. Although of course the benefits are there. I'm not arguing with that. But you can get into much more of a meditative state in an infrared sauna. So that's really great. And there's also the other angle, which you're going to have to research this more, because Instagram's telling me we have 1:47 remaining. You have this, what's called the fourth stage of water. This is called exclusion zone water, and infrared light creates exclusion zone water, which is a kind of water that can, it's slipperier, it moves more easily, and it carries more energy. So when you can maximize levels of this kind of water in your body, exclusion zone water, your health will likely prosper. So that's the end for that one. Gucci, so good to see you. Sorry you were just joining at the end. Instagram's going to kick me off in 1 minute because we're out of time here. Bora, you're going to go have some intimate reishi time before bed. I love hearing that. So good to have you guys all here. Oh, Ethan is asking your personal favorite W drink / chocolate. I would say chocolate-wise, it depends on my mood, right? I have them all. But probably most often Tranquility, because I'm working really hard and I do everything to keep stress at bay. Then in terms of drinks, I love doing the chai cold with almond milk as the base, and then adding half a teaspoon of blue butterfly. So it's a blue chai. So you can incorporate that there. Okay, awesome guys. Thank you so much. If you have any other questions, we will cover them next time. Have a beautiful evening, everyone. Thanks so much for joining.